Welcome to Rick's Corner, brought to you by Old School Labs, the brand I trust and the only one I put my name to. Use my code drasin12 on the link below.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. The man, the myth, the legend. Now on with the show.
Well, welcome to Rick's Corner. I have more stories. My friend called me today and he says, you know, you moved out of Bakersfield when you were like 20 and you went to LA and you weren't quite sure what you were going to do, but you took charge and did what you wanted to do. I was wrestling actually, so I knew I wanted to do that. I was working for a company that Kellogg's, which I didn't want to do, but at least it got me out of town. I had no idea that I was going to get in the movie business, although I even said in high school that at some point I wanted to get in the movie business, but I didn't remember that's what I really wanted. However, it seemed to work itself out, and by today's standards, it's very, very difficult to get in, just really, really hard. My first job I got was with Chevrolet called Heavy Chevy. We were at the gym, we went down to the beach, somebody stopped a bunch of us guys and said, we need you for a commercial, it's a national spot. We want you to lift the Chevy into the air and we're going to pull it up by cable, and they paid us $1,000. And I joined Screen Actors Guild. I got a taste of what it was like to make $1,000 for the day. That was good money. So I looked around for an agent, and I happened to have a family friend who was an agent. I said, can you represent me and get me some work? He says, yes, you're going to have to join Screen Actors Guild, but maybe we can work that out. And back in those days, it was cheap. It was $300. So he got me a role on the FBI series with Ephraim Zimbalist, which was an ongoing series for several years as a gangster. And Quinn Martin Productions wrote me a letter to SAG and said, we need him for our show. There's nobody like him, and he needs to join the guild. So I joined. I was lucky. The scene called for me to guard a restroom where there was a jewel thief in the bathroom, and they were exchanging money against jewels. And I was supposed to stop the FBI from going in there. So I'm standing by the door. I didn't know they had called rehearsal. Ephraim Zimbalist walks by with another FBI agent. They're both actors. He says, excuse me. I said, oh yeah, sure, go on in. I wasn't supposed to say that. I was to say, I'm sorry, but it's occupied. And he says, we're rehearsing. You're supposed to say it's occupied. I said, oh, okay. My first time out, I don't know. I did it, and it worked out okay. After that, I auditioned for the movie Ben. They wanted someone to play a gym instructor in a women's gym that attacked by rats. Now, Ben was the sequel to a movie called Willard, which was about a rat, and Ben, Michael Jackson, sang the theme song. So I auditioned. The director saw me, and he laughed like hell because I played the role really well, and they hired me to do it. And I'm in the gym, and I'm chasing rats with a broom and trying to kill them in the closet. Some were real, some were pinned on me, and some were trained to come after the cheese with a little bell. So I guess you can train rats to do things. But it was a good film and made a lot of money. And when they brought the DVD, didn't have DVDs, and they had VHS, and I went to the store and I see the package in there. On the back of the box was my picture with the broom and the rats. So that was kind of cool. After that, I got submitted for a lot of commercial work and print work, and I did cigarettes. I auditioned several times for a Salem billboard that Tom Selleck had done. And they interviewed about 2,000 guys, and after about 3 or 4 months, they called and said, guess what, you got the role. I said, oh, great. By that time, I wasn't enthused at all because it took so long, and then the following week, they called me and said, the whole thing's been canceled. You're not going to do it. That happens a lot. But the following week, I got a Camel cigarette ad, and I was all over on the billboards and Playboy magazine, TV Guide, and all the magazines holding a Camel cigarette with a saddle over my shoulder, and I didn't smoke, but I got the ad. That's when they did a lot of cigarette ads, and they paid pretty well. And then I went to North Carolina and did Winston cigarettes as a race car driver. Was there a week, made a lot of money for that week, and ate in some really good home-style restaurants. And I met a guy from Texas who had a Ponderosa. His name was Alan, and he looked like he was right off the Ponderosa. He was one of the actors as well. That was quite an experience to be able to go out and do things like that and make money doing them. Well, one thing led to another, and then I came back and I worked on a show called I did The Fall Guy, and I played Handsome Harry, the only wrestler with the all-girls fan club. with Jay York, and that went really well, and it was a good show. We worked a week on that one. Then I did Riptide with Joe Penny and Perry King, and there was a lot of stunt work, and we were at a Steel Motel up on Ventura Boulevard with Gene LaBelle and a bunch of guys, and one of the stunts was to ride a motor scooter into the pool, which I did not have to do, thank God. But they wanted me to get in a fight and fall in the pool, and I said, no, I'm not going in the water. It's too cold. I threw the other guy in. You know, you kind of change things around sometimes, and it just so happens that's how it goes. After Riptide, I did the Cher show with Cher and a couple of bodybuilders, and she was nice as she could be. We had rehearsals for a week. I got in the elevator to go to lunch, and here I am standing in the elevator next to Archie Bunker from All in the Family, which I thought that was kind of cool because this is all new to me at the time. And we ate in the commissary there and got to meet a lot of people. We did the Brenda Vaccaro and Don Peterson. I did a thing with Rodney Allen Rippey, who I met later on this past year, who's in his 40s now, and it's kind of a thrill to meet him after back then he was only 5 years old, called The Shape of Things. And then I did the Mitzi Gaynor show with a bunch of the guys, and she was a song and dance woman, very pretty, and she had a variety show. Then there was Flip Wilson, as he played Geraldine, and we played some dancers, and we were on there with William Conrad, Helen Reddy, and Sammy Davis Jr., and Sammy Davis Jr. took all of us to lunch. He was a really nice guy, and it's a thrill to be able to meet somebody that big in the business. Okay, from that show we did, a bunch of us guys did NBC. We worked over against the Johnny Carson Art Players. There were things that came up at the networks that they were always calling for bodybuilders and giving us some kind of a role of sorts. And then I went into some commercials. I'm looking here because I wrote this down. I did The Shield, where I played an Aryan biker called Pipe with Michael Chiklis. And I'm over in East LA sitting in a car with another guy trying to pass me on for drugs. And right there in East LA is where all that stuff really goes on. And it looked real, and it was kind of scary getting out of the car and walking across the street because you don't know who's looking at you with a gun. But I did it, and then we robbed his medical thing that night, and I had a big bag full of Hollywood money. And then they put their guns on me with their red lasers and locked me up. And I told them on the next part of the show when they locked us in the cell in the office, please don't lock that cell door. It gives me claustrophobia. If you know it, you can close it, but don't lock it. So they didn't lock it. Anyway, that show went pretty well. That was fun to do. And Michael Chiklis is a great guy to work with. One thing led to another, and then let's see, we get into the commercials, and I started doing the Iron City Beer out of Pittsburgh. We shot in the marina at Brennan's Irish Pub, and they called me Bear, of all things. I never got to see it, but I knew it ran a while because it paid some good money. Did several Coors commercials. I ran one through a brick wall, one on the beach in Venice as a lifeguard, and one as a bodybuilder working out as the couple walks by and they're looking back at us and they're drinking the Coors beer. Budweiser I did with a guy named Brian. I went in for the audition with Terry Funk, and I thought he was going to get it with me because it's a wrestling spot, and they wanted a black guy, so they put this other guy about 6'8", a lot of earrings, and I said to him, I said, you ever wrestle? He said, well, I'm a bouncer. I said, that doesn't mean anything to me. Have you ever wrestled? He says, no. I said, well, then you better listen to what I tell you, because if you do what I say, we'll get this role. He said, okay, I'm all ears. And he got the part, and we did it together. We had 3 days on that shoot. I got paid for training him because he didn't know what to do. I got paid for stunt coordinating. I got paid for acting. So I got 3 separate paychecks per day times 3 days, and it added up to be a lot of money. That commercial ran for a long, long time. I'm sure you guys saw where he locks up with me. He says, hey, Rick. I said, hey, Brian. He says, how's your mom? I said, good. She says, hi. How's the wife and kids? And it's kind of a comedy type of thing. It's kind of fun. That was a Budweiser. I did a Dr. Pepper. Well, when I did another Budweiser with Paul Vincent, we were in the ring with a bunch of guys, and it was called Real American Heroes. And it came out when the 9/11 hit, and so they didn't run it because the real American heroes were the firemen, so they changed it to Real Men of Genius, and that ran for quite a while. At the same time, I did a Dr. Pepper commercial, and I went in with Rich Piana, and Rich and I said to Rich, I said, go in with me for the audition. They need 2 guys to wrestle, and if you listen to what I say, like I told the other guy, we're going to get the role. So we got it. And it was filmed out in a golf course, and I had a golf cart like Mad Max and leopard skin tights, and we were chasing other golfers down on the course and beating them up and giving them body slams and doing stuff for Dr. Pepper. That was a really fun spot. Then I did West Cigarettes for Germany 3 years in a row with the leopard skin tights, and that ran all over their billboards in Germany and all over the place, and they put me on a pack of cigarettes, and I didn't smoke. That was fun. Salem Cigarettes I did. God, I got so many things written down here, and I know I missed out on a bunch of stuff. But it just kept going and going and going. And then I did Sextet with Mae West, which was her last movie. And she was in her 80s and she couldn't hardly function. But she had her driver bring her. And he was an ex-bodybuilder. And he had her Cadillac from 1950. And it had dents in it. And the hubcap missing, was smoking and idling rough. And then he had on a black mohair suit and his hair slicked back with dandruff all over his collar. And then he'd press his jacket with a steam iron rather than have it clean so you could see the marks all over it. I'm telling you, we ran into a lot of people. We were walking around the set and ran into Kim Bassinger, who was doing Dog and Cat next door to us. When I did, The Fall Guy, I walked over to Heart, and Frank Zane was working on something over there. But there was always something going on, and we always seemed to get, a lot of us always seemed to get work. I know I got a ton of work. And it just kept going on and on and on. And through the years, I made enough to retire from Screen Actors Guild and get my medical insurance and have a paycheck every month that goes into my retirement account. But auditions have changed. I remember going out, and it used to be 20 or 30 guys, and then it started to be 100 to 200. And if you went out as a character, as a prisoner, then guys coming out of prison would go. They'd go and they'd audition, they get the role because they were real guys. If you go on a biker commercial, they want you to bring your motorcycle. If you didn't have one, you had to rent one. If you don't want to rent one, you didn't get the job. So basically, it's not just your acting ability, it's what you own. That they really wanted to make sure that you had something. So I said, if you're a truck driver, you have to bring an 18-wheeler? It's got to be ridiculous. And nowadays, they want submissions on tape like this. They want you to read the role and submit it to your agent. And if they like you, they'll bring you in. And it's all electronically done. So any of you that want to come out here and be actors, you got to understand that it's just not easy. There's a ton of competition. Well, there's competition in everything. There's competition in wrestling too, but you're really up against a lot unless you have a unique look and unless you really know somebody. Talent counts a big part, but it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Because a lot of people will say they know you or you know them, but do they really know you? If they know you, they'll bring you in, but it doesn't mean you know them. So those things all figure into it, and you just have to be prepared when you do an audition to be able to do the role and make sure that you're good at it so that they hire you, because they're going to give you a call back if they like you. There might be 100 guys out, they call you back, there's 40, 50 on the call back, and they call you back again, there's another 20 or 30, and then they narrow it down from there, because the third callback's where the producers and directors sit and they really analyze you. I did a movie called Flashfire with Lou Gossett and Billy Zane, where I played a killer, and 6 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock at night for the first 2 weeks, and then 6 o'clock at night till 6 in the morning the second 2 weeks. It was pretty tiring, but I had a good role. And then I went to El Pollo Loco one day and ran into Lou Gossett, and he brought me a baseball cap from a team that he owns. Then there's Charlie's Angels. I played Mr. Galaxy, the 7 times winner, with Roger Callard, and there was a big conspiracy thinking that I was trying to kill him and that he was trying to kill me, and it wasn't any of that at all. I worked with the Angels, and I had a shirt on, and I had to meet at another location. So by the time I got to the location, I changed my shirt, not knowing I wasn't supposed to. And when I showed up, the scenes didn't match because I had this shirt on over here, but I had this on over here, but there was nothing in between that showed I changed the shirt. And I kind of did that on purpose to see if they'd catch it, but they never did. And it was pretty funny. So that's how it goes. You go on stuff and you get some, you don't get some, and you get more. You don't get as much as you think you're going to, but you do get some work. If you hang in there and you stay with it, you'll get something. So you just hope for the best that it's going to be something good. But today, I don't know what it's like today. I just don't go anymore. And I don't know. People work as extras and they hope to be actors, and work as an extra doesn't mean you're going to be an actor. And money's not that great. You got to have another job. If you based your acting on what you made all year, you would starve to death, because even though you might make 800, 900 for the day, that's only that day. What are you going to do the rest of the month? And I didn't think of it that way when I was doing that, because I was wrestling at night, so I had an income. And then I started a mail order business with t-shirts, so I had another income. And between that and then collecting unemployment in between acting roles, I had another income. So there's ways you can do it, but you've got to be creative in your financing and your income to show that you can do it, and then it can be done. But everybody I met in the business is fun. I did a show called Once a Hero with Robert Forrester, where I was a soldier, and I had to shoot up all this stuff, and some guy comes on the set and says, "I'm sorry, but your wife can't eat here." He was a line producer. I said, "Why not?" He says, "She's not on the list of meals." I said, "I can't tell her she can't eat." He said, "Well, she can't eat." I said, "Well, she's going to eat." He said, "Well, I don't think so, because I have 11 stunt guys that'll back me up with you." I said, "Look, I'm not afraid of you. I'm going to feed her, and you're not going to like it, but I don't give a shit what you like. I'm going to do it." So he went and told the producers, and the producers said, leave Rick alone, we need him on the show. So I told him, I said, look, dude, if I ever see you outside this set, you better watch it. He's a big guy, about 6'5", and he stayed away from me the rest of the time of the movie. But and you always get someone like that. There are people like that. I did a commercial with Harlem Heat, one of the guys that was wrestling WWE. When he showed up, he says, thank God I'm working with another wrestler. So I put a silver tooth in because I knew the tooth would show off and they could do a sunburst off of it. And so, we like that idea. What do you think they did? They did it to the cop that was chasing someone down the street, not me. So they used my idea on somebody else. And that happens sometimes. You come up with an idea and they'll give it to somebody else. I went over to Spike and I had guys wrestling in the ring, some kids. I called them Bad News Brawlers. I had 12 of them. I wanted to do a TV series based on the little kids wrestling because kids like wrestling. And I had it all figured out. They had all their attire and they had their music and they were really good at what they did. Spike says, what a great idea, we like it, but we don't know if anybody's going to watch kids. 2 months later they came out with the same thing and they call it Half Pint Brawlers and they use midgets. So in this city, you watch what you say and what you do because someone's going to steal your idea and then you're out in the cold. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys that's the story, and I didn't know my life was going to go that way. I think between wrestling and bodybuilding and then being seen on channel 513 and channel 34 every week wrestling, and people got familiar with me on TV, it kind of opened some more doors and got me in to do things I wouldn't normally have done. So a lot of luck. A lot of luck, a lot of persistence, and a lot of dedication, and a lot of motivation, and you'll get where you want to go, but you got to really hang in there. People come here and say, I'm going to try acting for a year. If I don't make it, I'll go back home. You don't do that. You don't try it for a year and leave. You commit yourself to it and you stay with it as long as you possibly can. You find something else to do in the meantime, and you do your auditions, and eventually, if you're persistent enough, it'll come your way. And I just wanted to share those stories with you because I don't think that'll ever be duplicated again, and it was a fun time for all those years. And I've got everything framed on my walls with all the pictures of all the stuff I've done. I got a lot of commercials on YouTube. If you put Rick Drasin down on YouTube and just type in the commercials, you'll see them all pop up. I did an Axiom in Kansas City. It was a wrestling spot. I met Tyler Main, who was Sabretooth in X-Men, and we became friends. I did White Castle hamburger, which was the tiniest little burger I've ever seen. And then I did a McDonald's commercial as a biker wrestler, and it was on a Jewish holiday, and no one was supposed to be working, but they wanted to shoot it. So the McDonald's people had us do the shoot, but what did they bring in for lunch? In-N-Out burgers. So go figure. You never know what's going to happen. Those things happen. I'm thinking of these things as I go along because there's a lot of stuff that came up that I've forgotten about. It's all on my resume, but you're only as good as your resume was last week. In acting, it's not like a resume where you work for a big company for 40 years and you're 20 years and you got all these credits. They only want to know what you did last week. They don't care what you did 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. It doesn't count. Well, even though you have experience, you did good stuff, they don't care. So anyway, that's it for Rick's Corner, and stay tuned for more. I got some other things I'll talk about at another time, but I thought you might enjoy it. I have a couple that I trained years ago, that brother and sister that one guy wanted to gain 20 pounds and she wanted to lose weight, and they had very strange reasons for wanting to do this, but they did do it. And I'm going to tell you that next story next time I'm on. Okay, see you all next time. Have a good day. Leg workout. This is my third one since I've had my injury. Extensions, hamstrings, and stretching, and it's really making my legs come back really well. All right, so now that I'm done with my workout, you guys like to know how I spend my day. I'm going to go to Starbucks and have my morning coffee, and then from there, we'll take it and do something else. Okay, so after my leg workout, like I said, I'm now here with Luis at Starbucks having my coffee. I had said about show business how people try and they do auditions and they have things they do. Well, this Starbucks is near the entertainment business. People who come in here all day long are actors and producers, and they have time to have coffee where maybe in some city you wouldn't see people out there today because they have 8 to 5 jobs. But you have to have a routine, and my routine is getting up and doing what I do, going to the gym, and then I come here, I have coffee, I meet people like my friend, we discuss certain things in the business, and then I have lunch, I go home, and then I go to work on my show. So when you see me here and people say, oh, don't you work? I work plenty. My work starts later in the day. My work actually starts in the morning at the gym meeting people and coming here. But then later in the day, I put it all together. So this is just one of my daily routines, coming over to Starbucks, having coffee, and every once in a while I'll have a scone to have my carbs. And it all seems to work out. Okay, so I'm at Patty's restaurant. I have my coffee. I'm going to have my fitness scramble and my cottage cheese to have my protein. And then as soon as I'm done, I'm going to go home and shoot another show. So this is part of my day, and the other part of my day is in the studio. And I'll see you guys next time.
Hope you enjoyed the video brought to you by Old School Labs. Use my discount code DRASIN12 on the link below at oldschoollabs.com. Hey everyone, now you can have the Gold's Gym logo drawn by me, the artist Rick Drasin, personalized and made out to you and signed by me to frame and put on your gym wall or wherever you see fit to do so. It's a piece of bodybuilding history. It will never be duplicated again. It's the largest selling icon t-shirt logo in the world, and I'm the guy that drew it, and I will draw it for you. Just go to my website, rickdrasin.com, and order there. You can pay through PayPal, and it'll be sent out right away. And be sure to watch Rick's Corner for all the videos on bodybuilding, nutrition, fitness, pro wrestling, and anything that suits your interest as far as getting physically fit and being the best you can be from the golden era of bodybuilding.
He's the equalizer, baby. See you next time.